In this two-part video, I'm going to show you how you can install the OpenAI module into your Dittofi app. This is going to allow you to submit a question to the OpenAI algorithm and to get a response from the OpenAI algorithm that will display on your screen like so. You can use this module in various different ways to help improve your app's user experience. Okay, so let's get into this now. Okay, so to start with, inside Dittofi on your Workspaces page, let's head over to the Templates page at the top of the screen. Then let's scroll down the page and click on the blue toggle button to switch the templates for Dittofi's Modules Marketplace. The Modules Marketplace inside Dittofi is a list of pre-built functionality that you can use in your app development. To use the OpenAI module, search for the OpenAI module in the search bar here and then click search. Once you have done this, click on the module. This brings up a screen which explains what the module does. For example, this module allows you to access the OpenAI models which are made available via the OpenAI API. So you can take this Dittofi module and you can use it directly within your app. To do this, click Use Template. You then need to choose an app that you want to install the module into. For example, here I'm going to pick my test OpenAI app. This will then automatically install the module into your app and at the same time open this module up inside of a section inside the app called Dependent Apps. This Dependent Apps screen is under this wrench icon down here at the bottom of the page, and this shows you all of the apps or modules that you have installed. Next up, to actually go about using this module, you can go over to the Backend Actions tab. From here, you can create a new action. Give your action a name. I'm going to call mine Get AI Answer to my question. Once you've named the action, set the trigger to endpoint, which means that the action can be triggered by an endpoint, and then click Add a New Event. From here, you can use the Run Action event, which is located under the Flow Control section of the event. This event will allow us to run the OpenAI module that we just installed. So, first, I'm going to give the event a description. I'm going to give the description Run OpenAI module. Next, I'm going to choose the module that I want to run. In this case, we only have one module, which is the OpenAI module, but you might have a long list of modules here if you've installed lots of modules inside of your app already. Then, under the Action section here, you can choose the function within the API that you want to run. In our case, there is just one function, which is called Create Chat Completion. And that will use the OpenAI Chat-GPT model to generate a message based on a message that we type in. So we can ask the OpenAI API a question, and it's going to return a response to us. Next, make sure that the Run in Background option here is not checked. Right, so depending on the action that you're running from the Chat-GPT model, the OpenAI API is going to expect different input variables. These are different inputs that you need to put into this action. So this is probably the hardest part of setting up this module. It's actually understanding what these input variables should be and where to collect that information from. So first up, we have the secret key. If you go to openai.com and look under the developer documentation, this will open up the developer docs for the API. You have to sign up for this. I've already signed up here, But once you've done that, you'll see the option to view API keys. You can click on this here. This will then give you a list of API keys, and you can create a new key by clicking on the Create New Secret Key. You will then be able to give a name to your key. I'm going to call mine my test key, and then click Create Secret Key. Once you've created the key, you can then click to copy the key and then go back over to the Dittofi platform. You are going to then click on the wrench icon at the bottom left of the screen and open up the Global Variables tab. From inside here, you can then create a new global variable by clicking on Add New Variable. You can give the variable a type of text and call it Open AI Secret Key. And then in the expression box, paste in the secret key and then click Save. You can then return to the action in order to use your secret key. To do this, click on the plus button below the secret key variable and then attach the secret key variable to the OpenAI secret key that we just created. Next, we have the model option. So the model option explains the way in which the AI is going to work. There are different AI models which all work in slightly different ways. If you want to learn more about these different models, you can go back over to the OpenAI API documentation and click on the Models section. You can then see a list of all the different AI models here. In our case, we're going to use the GPT 3.5 Turbo model. So click on this and then copy the text GPT 3.5 Turbo. Next, go back over to the Dittofi platform and return to the Global Variables tab. Create a new global variable by clicking on Add New Variable and set the type to text. Set the name to OpenAI Model, and then paste in the GPT 3.5 Turbo into the expression option here, like so, and click Save. After you've done this, you can return to the action, and from inside here, you can attach the model variable to the OpenAI Model global variable that we just created. This global variable holds the value GPT 3.5 Turbo that we just copied into the OpenAI Model global variable. After you've done this, the last parameter that we need to set is going to be the message. The messages should also be of a certain type. So in order to create this message variable, click on Add Variable at the top of the action. This will create a variable that is global to the action. You can then set the variable type to Collection Custom Model, since the variable will be expecting a collection or list of messages. Then give the variable a name. I'm going to call mine Messages. Then under the custom model, search for the custom model OpenAI, and you should see that there are a bunch of models that have been installed for you when you first installed the module. The one that we're going to pick here is going to be the OpenAI chat message. Once you've done this, click Save, and then attach this variable to the messages variable, and click Save at the bottom of the action. So now what I'm doing is I'm sending this collection of messages over to the OpenAI model GPT 3.5 Turbo, and OpenAI know that this is me because I'm doing this using my secret key. However, right now, this collection of messages is actually empty. So what you also need to do is to create a single message by clicking on the Add Variables button, choosing the option for Custom Model, and then setting the name to Message. You can then choose the custom model, OpenAI Chat Message again. After you've done this, click on the three dots here, choose the option to Add Event above, and go to the Arrays section and set the event type to append. This will allow you to take the single message and append it into a list of messages. Give a description, so I'm going to write create my list of messages to send to OpenAI. Then I'm going to attach my collection of messages variable to the variable option. And I'm going to set the message variable to the value option. So what this is actually going to do is it's going to take the message and append this message to the messages variable. So then I'm going to have a list of messages that contains my message, and then I'm going to click save. But this message also actually has nothing set in it at the moment. So what you need to do next is you need to click on the three little dots to the right of the append event and click add event above. And then you can go to the section other and choose the assign event. Give this event the description create the single message to send to OpenAI. So this is going to allow us to create this message over here. Now, OpenAI specifies what this message must look like inside of their docs. You can read about this on your own, but for now, you should just know that the OpenAI API requires that the message has two fields in it, which are role and the message content. You can see these fields by clicking on Add Variable and then choosing the message variable and then setting role and then finally the message variable to content. So the message content is going to be where the actual message goes. So you're going to create a variable of type text called question. This will be the question that you're going to ask to the AI. In my case, I'm going to put a fixed question, which is going to read, tell me something about music. But I could also set this to be a dynamic variable that I pass into my action. For example, I could take the question from someone typing into an input box on the front end of my app. I can then bind this variable value directly to my message content variable, like so. Then for the message role, this is a value that is required by the OpenAI API, and there are different roles that you can learn about in the OpenAI documentation. For now, I'm just going to tell you that one of the roles that we're going to use here is called the user role. So to use this, I suggest making another global variable by again clicking on the wrench icon and then opening the global variables tab and creating a new variable of type text called OpenAI role user. And we can then set the expression to user. After this, click Save to finish creating this global variable. So now that you've done that, you can go back over to the Backend Actions tab. And from within here, you can attach the OpenAI role user global variable to the messages role, like so. And then click Save. The final step is to get the value that is returned from the OpenAI, which is returned to our trigger endpoint. You can set this as the response variable on the endpoint. This will allow us to print out the result that is being returned from the AI when we ask the question, tell me something about music. Right, so that is the full configuration of this API integration. So next up is to build the code. And while the code is building, just a quick recap of what we've been doing so far. So first of all, we are going to trigger this particular action by running our endpoint. Next up, we have a list of messages, which is empty. We are then going to push into the list of messages a single message, and this message is going to be sent over to the AI with the following information. We're going to have the question, tell me something about music. We're going to have a secret key, the user role, and the type of AI that we are expecting to run. What we could have also done is to have sent multiple messages by appending multiple messages at this stage here, or to have set this question variable in our front end by allowing users to enter data into a text input box and then to send this information over to the back end of the app. But we'll do that in the next lesson. Okay, so now that the code is built, we can actually test our action out by clicking on the Run Action button. And then we can click the Run button down here. Now from here, we need to wait a moment or two while the AI looks to answer our question. The question is, tell me something about music. So once this is run, and it can take a few moments or so, you can then scroll down here and you're going to see this JSON packet that's been returned by the API. And you can see the response to our question here. So that's how you use the Dittofi Open AI module. You can now take this response and display it on the front end of your app. And this is something that we're going to look at in the next video.